So it's a normal day, and a woman goes into her kitchen. And there she sees a random package. And she's like, oh, what's this? And suddenly, kaboom, it explodes right in her face. So, who's trying to kill her? Well, the story all starts with this guy. His name's Walter. And Walter's about 37 years old when all this begins, and he's living in Georgia. And Walter has a problem. He's broke. He's having trouble keeping steady work, and he can't keep up with his bills, specifically his car payment. And one day in 1972, the dealership he bought his car from sends a guy out and they repossess his car. And this pisses Walter off. And he's already not the most mentally stable guy in the world. So from here, he comes up with a plan. He's gonna kill the head of the dealership. So he gets to work on this plan, and he builds a homemade pipe bomb in his house, and he wraps it up in a package, and he addresses it to the head of the dealership, and he leaves the package in his kitchen as he plans on mailing it sometime later. But then later, his wife finds the package in the kitchen, and she's like, oh, what's this? And she opens it, and kaboom, the bomb goes off right in his wife's face. Now, luckily, she survives, but her hand, shoulder, and eye are severely injured. Either way, it was Walter's bomb, so bam, he gets arrested, and he gets sentenced to 5 years in prison. 3 years later, he gets out of prison early, and he tries to get his life together. He gets a new girlfriend. I guess his first wife never got over being bombed, and she left him. He gets a new job. He considers getting back into studying law because he really wants to be a lawyer one day. And that leads to a new problem. He's a felon now. And because of the criminal record he now has, he won't ever be able to practice law. So he decides to appeal, and he tries to get his conviction overturned and expunged. And he spends the next few years filing appeals. And he tries over and over and over again, but his appeals keep getting rejected. Meanwhile, he starts up his own business, designing and selling outboard motors for boats, which, that's a legitimate business. However, Walter, he's kind of a shady guy. So immediately, he starts secretly taking out $750,000 life insurance policies on each of his 3 employees. And if they die, his company will collect the payout. Then he takes the 3 employees out on his boat about 10 miles out on the Atlantic Ocean under the pretenses of doing some work. So he has the employees get into the water in scuba gear to take some promotional photos of the propeller. When they're done, they try to get back on the boat, but Walter won't let them. They try to climb the boarding ladder and he'll stomp on their fingers, and he refuses to throw them life preservers. And at one point he even throws an anchor at one of their heads. He wants these guys to die so that he can collect the life insurance money. Now eventually he just leaves, and he takes the boat and he abandons them, hoping that they'll drown. Well, luckily, at some point, a commercial ship passes by, sees them, and rescues them. And of course, bam, Walter gets arrested again, this time for attempted murder. Later, in 1983, he goes to trial, and the trial ends in a hung jury, which results in a mistrial. And the prosecution isn't sure that they can get a guaranteed guilty verdict if they try him again, so the state ends up dropping the charges altogether, and now Walter is a free man. And now that he's free, he goes back to his regular civilian life, and he still really wants to practice law. But again, he'll never be able to because of his previous conviction. So he tries to get that conviction overturned yet again, and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals shoots him down one last time. And that is when Walter finally snaps. In that moment, he decides that the court system isn't just wrong, but it's his enemy, and he becomes determined to get revenge. Specifically, he wants revenge on the judges of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. And since he has experience making bombs, he decides he's gonna kill them that way. But first, he needs to test one out. So in 1989, he's at home and he builds a tear gas package bomb, which I guess instead of exploding it, disperses a cloud of tear gas when you open it. So then he mails that bomb to the regional offices in Atlanta of the NAACP, the civil rights organization. And an NAACP employee opens the package, and suddenly the entire office fills with tear gas, and 8 people have to be hospitalized. But luckily, no one dies. Now, because that tear gas bomb worked so well, over the next few months, Walter spends time building 4 package bombs, the explosive kind. Once he's done, it's time to put his plan into motion. So first, he mails one bomb directly to the home of a federal appeals court judge. Then, over the next couple of days, he mails 3 more bombs. One to a civil rights attorney, one goes to a civil rights organization, and another to the appeals court itself. He's mailing bombs to the civil rights organization to make the attacks appear racially motivated, because when the feds inevitably investigate these bombings, they'll assume that the bombs came from an anti-black organization and not from him. Anyway, the federal appeals court judge receives the first package, and he sits down at the kitchen table to open it, and suddenly, kaboom, the bomb explodes. And this, unfortunately, kills him. And his wife is seriously injured too, as she was standing nearby. 2 days later, the civil rights attorney that he targeted is at his office, and he receives his package, and he opens it, and kaboom, the bomb explodes, and it kills him too. But here's where things start to fall apart. During the middle of all this, the federal judge who got killed with the bomb is all over the news. So everyone is on high alert when it comes to opening strange packages in the mail. The same day the civil rights attorney received his bomb, another of Walter's package bombs reaches its destination, the Federal Court of Appeals building in Atlanta. And a security officer sees this package, intercepts it, and he calls the police. Meanwhile, Walter's 4th package bomb reaches its destination, the Jacksonville branch offices of the NAACP. And the chapter president sees it, but she doesn't open it because she's too busy to get to all her mail. The next day, she hears about the other package bombing, so she doesn't open it at all, and she calls the police. So now the feds have 2 package bombs that they can investigate and study to see if they can figure out who sent them. And while they're picking these bombs apart piece by piece, they quickly realize all 4 explosive devices were built by the exact same person. But, unfortunately, from their perspective, none of this connects back to Walter, or really anyone specific. So, they have no suspects.
Until one of the forensic experts from the ATF starts examining and dissecting the bombs. And this guy notices the design of this explosive device is pretty much identical to the design of a bomb that he examined on a case all the way back in 1972. Because by sheer coincidence, he was an investigator on Walter's first bombing case. So suddenly, Walter becomes the prime suspect in all of this. And so the feds get a warrant and they search one of his storage units, and there they find a half-built pipe bomb that matches the ones they intercepted. And so, bam, Walter gets arrested. Here's his mugshot. And Walter ends up going to trial, twice actually, and he's found guilty, and he ultimately gets sentenced to death.